Hi and welcome to Core and Soul Pilates. My name is Marietta, and in this video we're going to run through the principles of Pilates. Now the principles relate to body awareness and proper alignment to ensure that you do the exercises safely, effectively, and essentially you get the most out of them. Now the principles relate to all Pilates exercises, so as soon as you understand them and can apply them to your body, you will be able to position yourself correctly whatever exercise that you're doing. So let's get started. So next we're going to cover pelvic placement, and in Pilates there are two positions for your pelvis. We have neutral and imprint. For these, just lie down on your mat. You can have your head pad if you wish. And here, just lying down, you're pretty much in your neutral position. We're just going to do one little check to ensure that we are. Now just imagine both feet are super glued down to the mat. You try and fail to lift your right foot up. It's glued down, but you give it a good go. And then release. And now you try and fail to lift up your left foot and then release. Now you are here in your neutral pelvis with that natural curve in the small of your back. Now we use neutral when one or both feet are down on the mat. Now the second pelvic position is called imprint, and we typically use imprint when we can't maintain a neutral position, and that's usually when both feet are in the air. So with our imprint, we're essentially adding an abdominal connection to stabilize the pelvis when both legs are in the air. Now, for your imprint, I'd like you to place your pinky fingers on your hip bones, your thumbs on your lower ribs, middle three fingers resting on your belly. Just imagine there's a little marshmallow underneath the small of your back. It's there on the mat waiting to be squished. So just inhale to prepare. Exhale, gently engage your abdominals, and you're going to lower the small of your back down towards the mat to gently squish that marshmallow. Inhale to release, you come back to neutral, restoring the natural curve, and the marshmallow pops to full size. And again, exhale, gently engage those abdominals and just feel your pinky fingers slide to your thumbs. So that's your hip bones sliding to your lower ribs. You inhale to release, you come back to neutral, restoring the natural curve. And again, exhale, gently engage those abdominals. Now keep your imprint here. Just tap the tops of your thighs and your bum. We're just checking that these muscles are completely relaxed and you're just imprinting using your abdominals. Inhale to release back to neutral. And again, exhale. Gentle rock back of the pelvis. We're not jamming the lower back towards the mat, that's too much. So it's just a small ab engagement, and your lower back may not even touch the mat. That is absolutely fine. Inhale to release, you come back to neutral. So now let's test out our imprint. So just have your arms long and by your sides. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, gently engage those abdominals and imprint on that marshmallow. Inhale, lift one leg into tabletop, so your knees above your hip, shin is parallel to the floor. Exhale, imprint some more, lift the other leg into tabletop. Inhale to stay. Now exhale, lower the right foot down, toe ball heel. Inhale, lower the left, toe ball heel, and then release, you come back to neutral. So that is our imprint and our neutral covered. Okay, next up we have ribcage placement. Now, if you've never thought about the position of your ribs before, I would say that would be totally normal, but we do think about it in Pilates, and let me show you why. So here, I'll just turn to the side. Now, all your ribs are connected to your thoracic spine. So when you move your rib cage, your spine then follows. So come lie down on the mat. And here, just pay attention to your ribs. They're pretty much flat here. And pay attention to how much of your back is in contact with the mat. Now with this exercise, first we're going to do it wrong and then do it right. So bring your arms long and by your sides. We're going to inhale, arms to the ceiling, palms facing each other. Now exhale, reach your arms overhead and just let them drop. Let them stay there. Now pay attention to your ribs. Mine have popped, they flared up, and also my back has arched and lifted off the mat. Now in Pilates, this would be an unstable position, so we don't want to be here, so we'll just float the arms up to the ceiling and then lower them back down. So what we're going to do to help keep our ribs in check is add an abdominal connection. And the reason why we do this is because all your abdominals are connected to the lowest rib. So by keeping those abs engaged will prevent the ribs from popping and keeping your spine in a nice stable position. So let's try it out. So here, just inhale, float your arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, gently engage your abdominals, and now reach your arms overhead. Now my hands do not touch the floor. Inhale, arms back up to the ceiling. Exhale and lower them down. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, gentle ab engagement as you reach those arms overhead. We have nice flat ribs here, same amount of back is in contact with the mat. Inhale, arms up to the ceiling. Exhale to lower. So we kept those ribs nice and flat, keeping the spine in a nice stable position, and that is ribs covered. Okay, next up we have scapular movement and stabilisation, and scapular is just another word for shoulder blade. So we have two of those located on our back either side of our spine. Now we have a lot of movement in our shoulder joint, and that is all down to our scapula because they essentially just connect to one other bone, the very end of your collarbone, and the rest of your scapula is just surrounded by supporting muscles. So in Pilates, we want to balance those supporting muscles to provide stability to control the movement in your shoulder joint. Now, I want you to imagine your shoulder blades are literally like two sucker pads hugging onto your rib cage. When you move your arms, ideally your shoulder blades just glide across those ribs nice and flat without sticking up or winging. And if you're wondering what winging is, I can show you. So here, if I turn around and if I do this, you can see the interior border of my scapula is off the rib cage. And also I'm anteriorly tipping, which means that the bottom corner of the scapula is off the ribs too. So this is an unstable position, whereas here, this is a stable position. You can see the scapula is nice and flat against the ribs, and this is the position that we want to achieve in Pilates. Now, there are 6 movements in your shoulder joint, and we're going to run through those now. So just lie down on your back. And the first is called protraction retraction. So just float your arms up to the ceiling, palms facing each other, and just imagine you're holding a balloon between your hands. You're going to inhale, float the balloon up to the ceiling, and then exhale, lower your shoulder blades down to the mat, and then draw them together. So you inhale, float that balloon up, exhale to lower down, draw those shoulder blades together. So keep going. We protract and then retract. And if you have any tension in your neck and shoulders here, just make the movement slightly smaller. And we're just feeling those shoulder blades separate and then draw together. Cool, that's enough of that. We're just going to lower the arms down. Now we're going to do elevation and depression. So here, just float your shoulders up to your ears and then slide your shoulders all the way down away from your ears. So again, keep going. We lift up and then down. Now, a key thing here, when you slide your shoulders down, just make sure that your shoulders don't lift up off the mat and round forward. We want to stay wide across those collarbones as you slide those shoulders down. Lovely. Now we're going to do upward and downward rotation. So if you just turn your palms to face up, have a soft bend in your elbows, and we're also going to apply our ribcage placement here by adding a gentle ab connection to this movement. So inhale to prepare. Exhale, gently engage those abdominals. Circle the arms out to the sides and overhead. And then inhale to circle all the way back down to your start position. And again, exhale, gentle ab engagement, no popping ribs. We circle up and then circle back down. Lovely. One more time. So we exhale, circle up overhead, upward rotation, and then inhale to downwardly rotate. Wonderful. So that's all the 6 movements covered. Now, in Pilates, we want to stabilize our scapula to help prevent tension in the shoulders. So here are a couple of cues that I use to do that, okay? So the first one is, imagine you're wearing long dangly earrings and you want to show them off to the world. They are divine. So those shoulders are sliding down with a nice long neck here. So that's one. The second is that you imagine you have a £50 note tucked under each armpit and it's a windy day, you don't want to lose those bad boys. So here, by having that gentle pressure in your armpits, we're then getting those scapula to kind of suction pad onto those ribs being nice and flat. So there are just a couple of cues that I use to help you get in the right position, stabilizing the scapula to prevent tension. So next up, we have head and cervical placement, and cervical is just another word for your neck. So you're learning all the Pilates lingo here. So your neck has a natural forward curve position. However, because of technology nowadays, we often have a forward head position and rounded shoulders because we're slumped over laptops and on our mobile phones. So if we take this to the mat, it's really common if you lie down on the mat for your chin to stick up, okay? Here your neck is hyperextended and it doesn't feel that comfortable. So I'm just gonna slide my head pad underneath my head. And here you can see my chin no longer sticks up and my face is literally square to the ceiling. So this is the right position that we want to be in when lying down on the mat. So if you just use a hand towel and fold it over as many times as required so you achieve this position. It may be just 2 or 3, so your face is nice and square to the ceiling. Now in Pilates, we often cue the head position to help avoid tension in the neck. Now during an exercise, we want our neck to follow our upper spine. That just helps with proper alignment. So we call it cervical following thoracic, which is neck following your upper spine. Right now, we're going to focus on our flexion, okay? That's lifting the head and shoulders off the mat. Now, in your neck, you have 7 vertebrae. And we are going to do a little head nod that involves the top 2 vertebrae. So it's a very small movement. So here, just look directly up at the ceiling and imagine you are looking at a traffic light, okay? You're looking at the red light. I just want you to lower your eye gaze down to the green one and then look back up at the red and lower down to the green and then back up to the red. Lovely. So keep going. It's a very small movement, as I said, just on the top 2 vertebrae of your spine. Your head stays on the mat and your chin does not jam into your chest. You could hold a little orange between the 2. Good. Now here, if you just watch me, I'm going to put this into practice. So here I'm going to inhale in head nod. I'm going to exhale, curl up, looking straight between my thighs, shoulders are dropped. I inhale to stay, exhale to lower all the way back down. And again, I inhale in head nod, exhale to curl up, cervical follows thoracic. I inhale, exhale to lower back down. So there, I was using the right position to prevent tension in the neck. Now I'm going to flip over onto my front and show you how we use the head position for extension. So please just watch, don't try this at home. I just want you to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to do my breaststroke prep number 1. So for this, my hands and elbows are to the outside of the mat, nose makes a dot. Now I'm going to keep my chin nice and tucked to help with my neck position. So here I inhale, sliding my shoulders down to stabilize. I exhale, lift my nose up off the mat, chin is tucked, and my eye gaze is diagonally down at the mat. This is the correct alignment. My neck is following my upper spine. If I do this, you can even hear the tension in my voice. This is not stable, it's not comfortable. And if I lower my head down too far, my neck is not following the upper thoracic, whereas if my eye gaze is on the diagonal, my neck is in the right alignment. So, I'm hoping you've gathered that we often cue the position of your head and also where you look to help prevent tension in the neck and just encourage that proper alignment during an exercise. Okay, now we're going to talk about breathing. And there are actually different schools of thought on how to breathe in Pilates. So I'm going to explain what I think is the best method for you to use. So just lie down on your mat with your head pad, and we're just going to see how we breathe normally. So here, just place one hand on your belly, one hand on your chest, close your eyes, and just breathe. And just pay attention to what is happening in your body as you do so. Now, typical breath pattern is on your inhale, your belly to lift up, and on your exhale, it just floats back down. The main kind of movement is in the belly. There's a slight rise in the chest, but it's mainly in the abdominals here. Now, you may have gathered in Pilates that we often want our abs connected during an exercise. So this current breath pattern doesn't really work with that. So that's where the Pilates breath comes into play. So first of all, I'm going to explain the inhale for you. So just place your hands right bang on the very sides of your ribs. Shoulders are relaxed. Inhale through your nose and breathe into the sides of the ribs. And then exhale. Inhale, breathe, push those ribs out to the sides into your hands and exhale. Lovely, keep going. And just imagine your rib cage is like an accordion. It opens out to the sides, left and right, and then moves back in on the exhale. Breathe in, moves out left and right, exhale, draws back in. Lovely, so that's our inhale. That's where we're gonna breathe into, okay? Now, we're gonna focus on our exhale. So just imagine you have a straw between your lips. And on your exhale, you're going to blow through it. Just place your hands on your belly and keep doing that. So you breathe in normally, let that belly rise. And then exhale, blow through your straw. Lovely. Keep going with this breath pattern. Now I'm hoping on your exhale that you feel a gentle ab engagement, okay? That is your transversus abdominis, or TVA for short. Essentially, your TVA muscle is like a belt wrapping around your waist. So as you blow through your straw, your belt tightens. Now, if you don't feel anything happening in your core on your exhale, I've got a couple of cues for you. So when you blow through your straw, just imagine that you're pulling the zip up on a tight pair of jeans. They have shrunk in the wash, but we still want to wear them. Breathe in. Exhale, blow through the straw, pull that zip up, belly button pulls down towards your spine, nice flat abdominals here. So I'm hoping you can feel your belt tighten there. If you don't, let's try the second cue. So locating your hip bones, as you blow through your straw, just draw your hip bones towards each other to your belly button. You breathe in. And then exhale, draw those hip bones towards your belly button and inhale to release. Good, so I'm hoping you now are able to feel that belt tighten as you blow through your straw. Now let's put it all together for the full Pilates breath. So place one hand on your belly, one hand on the sides of the ribs. You're gonna inhale, breathe into the sides of the ribs. Exhale, blow through your straw and pull your zip up. Inhale, breathe into the sides. Exhale. Stay zipped up. Breathe into the sides of the ribs. Blow through the straw. Stay in those skinny jeans, breathing into the sides. Exhale, draw those hip bones towards each other. Breathing into the sides. You exhale. Feel the belt tighten. Good. So this is our full Pilates breath. I'm hoping you were able to keep that ab connection during the inhale and the exhale. Now, I'm well aware I've asked you to breathe differently to how you have done your entire life. So if you found this tricky, don't worry, it just takes time and practice. So this last principle relates to hips, knees, and feet because they all interact with each other, affecting your alignment. So I'm currently in a side lying position, and to ensure that I'm in the correct alignment, I'm going to place my hand on the top hip and then push it away from me. Now you will have seen that I've now got a little mouse hole shape. My waist has just lifted off the mat. By pushing my top hip away, my hips are now stacked one on top of the other. So if you flipped me round as if I was standing on my feet, my hips would be perfectly level, okay? So now here, if I float my leg to hip height, now my hip, knee, and foot are all in alignment. So if I bend my knee, if I was standing, that's just me lifting the knee up, and then lowering my foot down. Good. So I'm hoping you can see by keeping the mouse hole shape here, reaching my top hip away from me, I'm keeping that correct line of motion in my leg. Great. Now here we're going to move on to another exercise and apply it. So this one is called a hip roll. Just lie down on your mat, no head pad required. And now here, we're just going to get the position of your legs right first. So bring your feet together and close to your seat, all the way towards your bum. Now my hands are gonna mimic my foot movement here. So I'm gonna walk the heels out once to the sides and then align toes to heels. Now your feet are hip distance apart. Now just imagine you are holding a ruler horizontally between your knees. We keep hold of that ruler so your feet, knees, and hips are in two parallel lines the whole time. Now, we're going to do an exercise, hip rolls. I think I mentioned that. And we're going to apply the other principles that we've learned to it as well. So right now, you're wearing a medallion and you love the bling. So show it off. We're wide across those collarbones to stabilize your shoulders. Arms are long and by your sides. We're going to inhale to prepare. Exhale, rock your pelvis back so you're lying in imprint on that marshmallow. Now press down into your feet and peel your spine up off the mat, seeing if you can get to a straight line from knees to armpits. Abs are engaged, no popping ribs, just breathe into the sides of the ribs. Exhale, press down into your feet, now melt through your spine. Let each section of your spine touch the mat. You roll through imprint and you return back to neutral, restoring the natural curve in the small of your back. And again, inhale to prepare. Exhale, rock the pelvis back, press down into your feet. Keep hold of that horizontal ruler between your knees. You peel up. Abs are engaged. Breathe into the sides of the ribs. Exhale, press down into your feet, melt through your spine, rolling through imprint. You return and come back to neutral. Lovely. So I hope this last movement helps demonstrate not only the last principle, but how we incorporate all the principles during an exercise. I really hope you found this useful, and I hope this kickstarts your Pilates journey.